What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Nigeria is soon to be a global military superpower. And I know that may seem hard to believe for those who don't know anything about Nigeria and still listen to the whitewashed media and propaganda that tell you that Nigerians are just a bunch of spear-chucking, corrupt, disease-infested Africans, right? Because that's what white people want you to believe. They want you to believe that no African country, especially West African countries, have the capacity to get their shit together, right? Now, I understand that you see Burkina Faso and the AES doing their thing to detach themselves from the Francophone countries, but you need to understand that Nigeria is a different monster and can't utilize the same strategies as Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. As Nigeria already by itself is, like I keep trying to tell you, Nigeria by itself is a combination of at least 30-something different countries and empires forced to be one. So when people talk about tribalism, right, they talk about it from a point of ignorance. They talk about it from a point of a perspective given to them by white Europeans who want you to believe that tribalism is a bunch of Africans who just can't get along with their brothers and sisters, not realizing that Nigeria is literally multiple countries broken up into states that are forced together by a confederation due to the Europeans' colonialism, right? But right now, they're getting themselves together. And keep in mind, Nigeria's only had, just like most African countries, have only had about 65 years to get their shit together. They've only had about 65 years from colonialism to now to get themselves together. America took over 250 years in several wars in millions upon millions of lives in order to get to this point. And already the white Western world has already messed that up. But I want you to understand what Nigeria is doing, and I've witnessed this myself, is because they're already a combination of nations that's trying to get the different nations to agree upon how things should work and to agree upon sharing of power, which they are doing. They also have to take control of their resources, which they have done differently from the AES, but they have taken control of their resources. Nigeria is not ran by the Chinese. Nigeria is not ran by any Arabs or Lebanese. Nigeria is not ran by any white people. Nigeria's problems at this point in time are Nigerians' problems. And even though they have corrupt politicians, every single country has corrupt politicians. Power corrupts. That's a fact. And the United States of America, the supposed most advanced country in the world, clearly we can see our politicians are the most corrupt individuals on the planet. And the second doesn't come anywhere close. Now, the politicians in Nigeria right now are currently getting themselves together by no longer needing the West to provide them with weapons in order to fight the Western-backed sponsored terrorists that are currently in the desert giving the West African countries problems now. The same problems that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have are the same problems Nigeria have. It's those Arab Berbers that were sponsored by the West that were given money to destroy Gaddafi, right? They're still running around in that desert with European paid-for weapons, and their job is to destabilize portions of Western Africa in order to open up the area so that white countries and NGOs can go in there and steal the resources from the area. And just like every single country in the world who has to fight wars, they have to purchase bullets, bombs, missiles, drones, and things like that. What America does to West Africa is when African countries go to purchase these weapons in order to fight the jihadists, right, that are, by the way, sponsored by those same white folks, right, America will take the Africans' money, but they won't give them the weapons in a reasonable amount of time, meaning that Africans with militaries can't effectively defend their countries because they're waiting on bureaucracy from white Western nations that have no intentions on making sure that these African countries get the weapons they need in order to defeat the terrorism within their countries. As you can see, a prime example is how America is treating Ukraine right now by slow rolling the delivery of weapons in order to keep this war between Russia and Ukraine slow burning for years, causing millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars in damage and millions of lives. You see, white Western world, they don't care about each other, right? As you can see, those countries that are fighting now are currently white countries, the most populous white countries in the world. They got the most amount of white people in the world, each country. But as you can see, America and its overwhelming white superiority, white dominance, they even don't care about those white folks. And they will make sure that that war goes on because there's money in war. The military industrial complex needs wars to happen so they can sell their bullets, bombs, and guns, and their drones, and all that crap. As you can see right now, Ukraine and Russia is just it's a showcase for all the brand new drone weaponry and technology that all the military industrial complex want to sell, right? And America, what they do is they sanction and make sure that other countries don't get the technologies they need to defend their countries the same way America gets to do. So the key to that is for countries to develop their own military industrial complex in-house and build their own technologies so they can defend themselves. And that's one thing Nigeria is doing. And the good thing about Nigeria doing it is they will now be able to sell that technology to other African countries to defend themselves. Like they will be selling it to Niger, Burkina Faso, and Burkina Faso. So it's a good development. Even if you think that the ECOWAS and the AES are against each other, on the surface it looks like that. But trust and believe, these African nations have been talking behind the scenes, and they know exactly what moves they need to take to dislodge themselves from the white Western world. Burkina Faso and the Francophone African countries are dislodging themselves from the Francophone countries, which, as you can see, the result of that now is that France is becoming the third world country that it always meant to be, them savage barbarians. And so the English-speaking colonies of Africa are doing the same in a different way. As you can see, Britain, all right, the savage barbarians, they're also suffering the same fate as their economies are no longer able to stand up, and they're no longer getting all that free stuff from Africa because Africa stood up and they decided they're going to keep all their shit. And now that Nigeria is producing oil, now they're the big dog. They're one of the big dogs on the global scale of making big time money with their oil and crude oil and processing that oil and keeping the money in the value chain in Africa and making that that Arab money. All right. But this is that African money, which is more than that Arab money. Right. And so with that, now they have the money to finance their military industrial complex with their private corporations in concert with their military, because Nigeria has a massive military that's capable of doing anything that the United States of America military can do, because they are trained by the United States of America military, because that's what America does. It trains countries that it knows it strategically wants to stay close to in the future. So America and Nigeria, the foreign policy of America is to stay close to Nigeria, as Nigeria will be the America of Africa. Nigeria will be a massive superpower in the future that will control industry. And right now they're taking all the steps to do so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present you with a little information. We can see where Nigeria is military-wise, because before you can build infrastructure and build the necessary things within your country to improve conditions, right, you have to be able to secure yourself, and you can't wait for outsiders to do it for you. So Nigeria is going to be able to secure itself. They're also going to be able to help other African countries secure themselves. That way, African countries don't have to go and ask Europe, go ask France, and go ask Western white people whose agendas is not to secure Africa. Their agenda is to continue to siphon things from Africa. Now they'll be able to do it themselves. So I'm going to show you that information, because this is the thing about this dog. All right, let me bring this goddamn dog over here, because it's been all in my goddamn video. This is the baby pug, all right? Some people say it's ugly, right? But I think it's like so ugly it's cute. So ugly that it's cute, all right? It's my daughter's dog, it's not mine, right? But I guess this is my grand dog, I guess you'd say. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So what happens is when there is poverty, which there is poverty everywhere, there's poverty everywhere, right? When you have people who have a division, whether it's ethnic, linguistic, or whatever, people tend to fight for the resources that are left, right? And they divide themselves under, through tribal lines, through racial lines, through linguistic lines, right? But once you start to develop the country and people have opportunities to uplift themselves, then those dividing lines start to disappear, because now everybody has an opportunity to do things. But before you can do that, you have to secure your country. You have to secure the skies. You have to secure your waterways if you have so. And you have to secure your borders so that you can eliminate those who want to disrupt you. Like Islam, which is the worst thing to ever happen to Africa, by the way, because the Arabs, their whole agenda is to kill, destroy. They're still living in the 17th century, right? Even though Christianity has killed way more than Islam, right? So both those religions do nothing but kill, murder, death, and destroy. right? Even though the people that are fighting against these extremists are in fact Christian and Islam, but there are secular and there are peaceful versions of that, and those are the people who are currently developing all the technologies necessary for, you know, countries to develop despite anybody's religious, ethnic, or linguistic background. Okay, so without further ado, check out this information I'll put together so you can understand why I'm telling you that Nigeria is the future, right? And is to be expected. Everything African Americans have done, right, as we are the gods of war, right? We get that from our source. Our source of black power is from where we are from. We are from the area of Nigeria, Ghana, right? That's where we are from. Our DNA, our lineage, which is your bloodline, not a nationality, not a soil, ain't got shit to do with what language you speak, ain't got shit to do with where you was born, ain't got shit to do with your cultural goddamn experience was we growing up. Your lineage is bloodline, which transcends everything else. That is your true lineage. Our, as African American lineage, is in Nigeria. So we expect people that we are from to be just like us. And they have the capability to be like us because we are like them. So African Americans are a Costco sample of what Nigerians are. And they're showing the black excellence that we African Americans have shown, right? Through their due diligence and through their overcoming of the white Western world, which is the same white Western world that continues to hold us down, fighting against that to build themselves up and stand up while the white Western world still tries to crush them down. And at some point, when we stand up, we will never be sat back down, and we'll be in the place where we're supposed to be before we allowed ourselves. We allowed our divisions. We allowed our tribalism, our ignorance. We allowed our niceness and our compassion to disrupt our history over the last 500 years. Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Have you ever wondered why African nations struggle to defend themselves despite spending billions on military equipment? The answer lies not in what they are buying, but in who they are buying it from. For decades, African security has been held hostage by foreign powers, but something just happened in Nigeria that could change everything. In April 2025, Nigeria unveiled something that got global powers nervously looking over their shoulders: the continent's first indigenous attack drones. But this isn't about flying machines. It's about something that's far more bigger that no one is talking about. What if I told you that Nigeria's drones aren't just weapons, they are declarations of independence? And what if this single development could transform completely the relationship that Africa has with the West, China, and Russia forever? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I will reveal why this breakthrough matters more than anyone realizes. Who is really threatened by it, and the shocking truth about why global powers have kept Africa so dependent for far too long. Let's start with a story that exposes the brutal reality of Africa's security dependence. In 2023, Burkina Faso needed to launch an urgent counter-terrorism operation against militants threatening 2 villages. But there was a problem. They didn't have enough armored vehicles. So they did what many African nations are forced to do. They borrowed equipment from neighboring Niger. By the time the vehicles finally arrived, the militants had already moved on. The delay cost dozens of lives, and 2 villages were lost. Now, this isn't an isolated incident. According to research, a staggering 75% of counter-terrorism operations in the Sahel are stalled or completely derailed by procurement delays. Did you hear that? 75% of counter-terrorism operations are stalled or completely derailed by procurement delays. But why does this happen? There are 3 main reasons that powerful nations don't want you to know about. First, we have deliberate delays. When Africa buys weapons, delivery time is mysteriously often extended. Now, we saw this example when Nigeria bought Tucano planes from the US, something that could take weeks. It took 7 years for the American government to deliver Tucano jets to Nigeria, who were in that situation fighting against Boko Haram. And so Boko Haram continued giving havoc to Nigeria during that period. What was delaying the delivery of these jets? And this is not an isolated incident. It happens all the time when Africa asks for weapons from the West. Sometimes you wonder why these terrorists flourish when the state clearly has an advantage over them. Second, political strings. Every bullet, every drone, every rifle comes with political conditions. We will sell you these weapons if and only if you vote for us at the UN, or only if you give us access to your resources, or only if you align with our foreign policy. As one African defense minister puts it bluntly, why must our sovereignty be negotiated for bullets? Third, corruption and mismatched equipment. Up to 40% of arms exports to the Middle East and Africa involve corruption. Foreign powers sell equipment designed for European winters to African nations fighting in the Sahel heat and humidity, where they quickly fail. But here is what you need to understand. This isn't incompetence, it is strategy. A dependent Africa is a controllable Africa. And the control of Africa means control of the continent's vast resources. The rare earth minerals powering your smartphone, the oil fueling the global economies, the agricultural land feeding millions. In a minute, I will show you why Nigeria's breakthrough changes everything. But first, let me explain to you what actually happened. On April 3rd, 2025, in an unassuming facility in Abuja, Nigeria's military and Bright UAS unveiled something extraordinary: the continent's first indigenous manufactured attack drones, complete with bombs and missiles. This was a military-grade weapon system designed, built, and tested entirely within Nigeria. A system that can track insurgents, protect oil infrastructure, and respond to security threats without asking permission from anyone. General Christopher Musa, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, didn't mince words about what this means. He said,
"In a world where the global politics surrounding the procurement of advanced military hardware, particularly combat drones, have become more intricate, countries that do not produce such solutions are made to face bureaucratic bottlenecks and diplomatic hurdles in acquiring these critical platforms. We are facing such challenges directly. So we know what it means. If you don't produce what you need, you'll be held whenever you need them, even with your money at hand."
Let that sink in. For decades, Nigeria has had the money to buy advanced military hardware, but has always been denied access or forced to wait for years due to bureaucratic processes and diplomatic hurdles. Do you really see a bit of contrast in this situation when we talk about Ukraine? Sometimes before they announce that they're going to send some weapons to Ukraine, the weapons are already in Ukraine. But in the case of Africa, we need to wait for years. I gave an example earlier, 7 years. During that time, what insurgency wouldn't have eaten up your security? The real reason behind this crisis is something no one is talking about, but we will get to that in a moment. What makes this drone program
Are you sure your department can provide solution to crisis in Africa with what you have?
Okay, first of all, let me introduce what we do. Uh, Pronto Microsystems Technologies Limited is a company owned by the Nigerian Army. Okay, we are saddled with the responsibilities of manufacturing indigenous communication equipment for the armed forces of Nigeria and the general public. So if you can see, these are radios manufactured here in Nigeria, and in operation of any type, without communication, you can't go ahead, you can't have success. So what we do is more of like a force multiplier and helping the Chief of Army Staff and Chief of Defense Staff achieve their aim by providing the necessary communication that is required for operations.
And with this, enemies cannot penetrate.
We have different levels of security, and the good part of our radio is it has certain features that you can't see in common radios. Like we have the feature called remote kill feature, meaning if a radio is declared missing, maybe with unauthorized users, we can quickly send a command that will disable that radio and makes it useless to the user. When the radio is retrieved, we can as well bring it back to life. And apart from that, we have different levels of encryption on our radio. That's only radios in the same group with similar encryption will be able to communicate.
Would you love to produce for other African nations?
Of course, we are more like a revenue generating company for the Nigerian Army. So our production is pure military. Then we also plan to expand towards West Africa and probably Africa at large.
So indirectly, are you calling for other African nations to invest in your business?
Of course, yeah. I've had some discussions with some service chiefs and representative other countries, and we are building towards that collaboration, R&D efforts, and as well future sales if possible.
Different arms and others are showcasing and being shown at this conference, this summit. I have one that I'm sure you'll love to know. Looking at what they have, you want to know that, you'll be sure that seeing them, they are not playing here. Your name?
Okay, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Okon, retired. I'm the Assistant Director of Production, Daikon D7G. Yeah.
You are in partnership with Defense or Army, or which one?
We're in partnership with Defense Industrial Corporation of Nigeria, which is Daikon. So that's where the partnership is.
This summit, for the first time, is coming up for the first time. Do you think it's going to be a good thing to you, to the company?
Definitely. It's going to be a very good thing because this has showcased that in Nigeria we have the capacity and the ability to produce what the defense industry in Nigeria needs. So this exhibition has actually showcased us. Like you've seen in our stand, what we have here are things that the company is going to produce right here in Nigeria. Already we have collaboration with Daikon. We have a factory in Daikon in Kaduna, whereby next month, from the 1st of next month, we are producing the DG-103. It's equivalent to the AK-103 rifles, and that production is starting from the 1st of next month. So with this summit, it has also brought to fore that yes, Nigeria is capable and ready to make things happen.
Nigerians who want to know whether you are going to be making use of Nigerians or you are bringing people from outside to do this.
The beauty of it is this particular company have majority of retired military personnel. Now, because we have the experience, we have the ability to do these things. So what we leverage on is basically recruitment of retired military personnel who have the expertise in the production of arms and ammunition. So this company is basically indigenous to Nigeria. Just, I think, a month ago, we were in Kaduna where we recruited a lot of Nigerian engineers where they are going to be part of this company working in our factory. So it's purely indigenous.
Are you calling for more people?
Definitely we will, because our action plan, we have a lot of action plan that we are rolling out. One of the action plan is this company is planning to establish the first military jetty in West Africa, which is going to be in Lagos. So with that, definitely there will be more employment for Nigerians.
Are you saying that our foreign currency will not be going out? We are not going to be spending much money on foreign currency. Now money will be coming to the coffers of the government.
That is the major point. That's the major reason why this company is on board, because what we want to do is to ensure that instead of the government of Nigeria buying weapons, buying ammunition outside with foreign currencies, everything you need will be produced here in Nigeria. And what that means, we're using Naira to buy. And also there will be a room for export. This company is also planning to ensure that with our production line, we'll also export to different African countries.
You are starting the production next month, right?
Yes, definitely.
In the next 6 months, how many countries can you service?
With this summit now, a lot of countries have seen and have come to see that yes, we have the capacity. So once they are ready to partner with us, any country that is ready, for example, for next month, by the time we start, within that same September, we're going to have about 1 million of the DG103 that will be produced. So any country that is ready for business with us, we can service.
Well, as Nigeria is moving forward, maybe that was the reason that led Chief of Defense Staff to organize this kind of summit, to call for this kind of summit, to make sure that Nigerians and others come around to see what
gold. Free Sudan. Boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Wait. Before you go, for all my subscribers and philanthropists out there, I'm building a solar power community water bowl system in Nigeria. It's going to cost between $5,000 and $6,000. I'm trying to raise money. If you want to participate and help me build this solar power water system, please donate to the Cash App and put solar water in the notes. Solar water in the notes. I'll put PayPal, Stripe, and Zelle. Anyway, thank you. That's all I gotta say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out. Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.